Good evening, sir. A very good evening, sir. Desikan, sir, good evening. Thank you for giving your time.
Good evening, madam.
Uh, I'm really happy that Desikan Krishnan, sir, is with us today. And he will also be fielding questions. So, you have any questions, you can start putting them on the chat, and I will read out to him and I will tell them, and he will answer. And of course, you can also unmute yourself and you can ask questions. But if you have any questions on the chat, you're most welcome to put them down.
Good evening, sir. Hope I'm audible.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Rajesh Vijayan, you're audible. Yeah. Do you have a question? Would you like to ask something? We can start off because people will keep joining in, but it's it's the right time. And Desikan sir needs no introduction. I think all of you who've been in the course for a couple of weeks, you have seen him in lesson after lesson, taking us through and giving us a very good exposition on the basics of photography. He's extremely proficient, steeped in the field of photography and photojournalism for such a long time, and he retired from the Hindu as its photo editor. And right now he's working on a very big project of documenting 500 temples, which sir can tell us later. He's busy and he's away from home for a year because that project is very close to his heart. But he's with us today, and you all have any questions you have regarding registration, exams, assignments, that we'll take in the end, because mostly I'm answering all of them on the discussion forum. But still, for the benefit of everybody, there are some basic frequently asked questions that I will take at the end, because then we will have a full strength. In the beginning, let's start off with your questions regarding photography, photojournalism. You have a curiosity, you have a doubt, you have a clarification. Sir has taken out time on a Sunday in the midst of a very busy project, and you must use this opportunity to ask him directly any questions that you have from the content that we have learned or anything related to it. So I'm going to look at the chat and see if there's any question here. So good evening, Vamsi. Good evening, Aparupa. No, I don't see any question in the chat.
Madam,
So
can I ask a question directly?
please do. You're most welcome, sir. And if you
Okay.
want, you can even switch on your camera if you like. Otherwise, you can just use your microphone, whatever you like.
Okay. Sir, good evening. My name is Rajesh Vijayan. Basically, I'm a trainer into sales training industry. But photography was my passion actually very long back. And I just saw this point. But after a couple of weeks, I have received a lot of insights. Now I started taking photographs step by step. But right now I have a question: is that should I buy a used camera, or should I buy a new camera, or should I buy an iPhone? This is my doubt, sir.
Rajesh, I would say if you have the budget, go in for a new one, because electronics, no, you never. I wouldn't always trust this unless you are buying from somebody whom you know. I would say for camera is much better than iPhone, although the later iPhone gives you excellent images, and sometimes iPhone gives you, especially in low light areas, very low light areas, better pictures than what DSLR would do. But when you come to regular photography, whichever this thing you use, whether it's iPhone or whatever other thing, when you compare it with the image taken with the DSLR, certainly there's a huge difference. The iPhone images are good enough. In fact, among the mobile phones, iPhone images are the best. But again, a mobile phone gives you access to much more angles. You can lift it above your head, you can bend down, shoot, and all that. The versatility of a mobile phone can never be diminished. But when it comes to image quality on a regular basis, regular photography, a DSLR stands out, definitely stands out. Again, even I find that problem even today when I'm photographing the temples and I go inside. Soon as I see my camera, They ask me several questions, whether I have permission, where I come from, why am I shooting, all that. Whereas people with a mobile phone just go around shooting pictures casually, with no questions asked. So that is the advantage of the iPhone or the mobile phone camera. But when it comes to image quality, uh, I would say DSLR is much, much better.
Thank you, sir. Next
Thank you.
question, please. I hope your question's answered. Please, let's use the time and don't feel hesitant or shy. There is no question that is not, that is not good enough. So if you really have a question, take this opportunity and ask, because that's why we are here together on this Sunday afternoon. Yeah. Who's next?
There is no question which can be either silly or stupid, I think. So don't be scared of it. So every doubt is a valid doubt, very thing. So I would be able to probably throw some light on it.
Yeah. Who would like to ask another question? It could be a question related to the technique of photography or to the practice of photojournalism. We have covered till now, I think, preparing photo captions, which Sir has explained very nicely with his work. And of course, how to prepare to go out for the work on the field, and the basics of handling a camera, the basic parameters which we must look at when we are wanting to get a picture which is correctly exposed, and other artistic choices like depth of field, using shutter speed to capture fast moving objects. So we have covered the whole gamut. So please ask your questions if you have even the slightest of, confusion or doubt, or you would, directly like Sir to give you an example. It's a great opportunity. That's why we have invited him today to join us in a live interaction, so he can take your questions and help you learn better. This is an interactive session, so the idea is to ask your questions and, they would be answered.
Ma'am, I have some question.
Please do, Aparupa, carry on.
Okay, actually, I have some problem with composition. Actually, I'm absolutely a beginner. I don't have any idea about photography before, so I face some issue related to composition. So, if sir help me out, it clearing, so it will be helpful.
See, composition is how you see the photograph. They say rule of thirds, rule of this thing and all that, but in my own this thing, I don't follow the rule of thirds, because basically, more throughout my life, for better part of my life, I was a press photographer where there is no time to follow these rules and other things. Rule of third and other. The rule of third is okay if you want to enter international salon and things like that, where they are very strict about these rules. But composition is one as how you see the photograph. How you see the photograph. The general rule would say don't keep the subject exactly in the center. Have some leading lines through the subject. These are the general things to be followed. But composition, it differs, because if composition could be specified or could be quantified, then there is no the scope for creativity is lost. So this idea of composition can never be quantified. It all depends upon the individual. The way I look at, let us say, the way I look at a glass of milk is different from the way you would look at a glass of milk. The angle, the lighting, the lenses that you want to use, all that. So composition can never strictly be thought. No, if composition is reduced to mathematics, then there is no scope for creativity. So don't worry about composition, as long as you feel that the subject is okay. It looks fine to you. That's the way to start. But later on, probably you could go study what the rule of thirds says and things like that later on. But basically, don't bother too much about these compositions. As long as the picture, first of all, the photograph should satisfy you. Two, it should probably, if you show it around, some others would be able to should be able to enjoy it. That's about all I would say about compositions.
I would like to add to that. Aparupa, you had also shared your work, right, in the discussion forum, and I think I gave you some feedback on your photograph.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yeah, so what I want to add to it is, the best way that you can learn about how to see, because as a photographer, you are seeing something through your eyes, but now you're seeing it through the camera and you're trying to record it through the camera and preserve that moment for a later, moment of time. Now, when you want to preserve a moment that is happening right now and you want to keep it, and then see it later on, what will help you is, I think, which I really encourage all of you who have joined the course, that all of you must see a lot of other photography work. There are enough examples that are being given to you in the online resources in the course, and in the internet, on the internet also. You can go and you can look at different kind of photographers, start looking at different kinds of photographs. What interests you? Is it landscape? Is it portraits? Is it sports? Is it travel? Is it news photography? What kind of photographs really create an interest in you? And you must look at a broad range of the work of other people. Then you train your eye and your senses, that when you see something through your eye and you're documenting it, how would you like to get that picture? And that is something which you will learn by doing, actually. Like, there is no, like as sir said, there are certain 7 C's of composition, that you can follow this rule of thirds, and you can have lines, leading lines, can have perspective, you can have balance, symmetry. But these are theoretical concepts. It's a visual form. So you have to try out and look at pictures that make you feel, yeah, there's something happening here. Then try to experiment with the form. You have to experiment a lot, and it is something that you will come by observing, seeing other people's work, and trying out your own experiments. That's the way to get it. And there is no right and wrong, because this is a field of creativity. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, but keep working on your composition. That's the best way. Who wants to join? Mr. Balamugan, somebody wants to join the call. Can you please admit this person? I don't know who this person is. It just says somebody wants to join this call. I'm at the chat, so please admit whoever it is. Okay. Then Rajesh Vijay, sir, you're asking, can we start a WhatsApp group? Sir, there are 1,577 people who have joined this course. It is impossible to have a WhatsApp group with 1,577 people. We have a course discussion forum on Swayam, and in every email I sent you, be it an assignment email or an email for the live discussion, I always send the link, and you click on the link and you'll be in the discussion forum. Already some of us who are here today, like Vamsi, Aparupa, and a couple of others, are very active on the discussion forum, and they are also helping other learners to understand if they have doubts. It's a very positive group that we have. Not many people are participating, but the ones who are participating, I would say they are very proactive and they are extending help to each other. So please join the discussion forum on Swayam. And on the discussion forum, which is a Google group, it's like an email. When you write something and you reply to all, you post to all, each one in the group will get your comment or your question. And when I reply to everybody. So everybody can see my response. And we are going to have regular meetings like this every 2 weeks. And if we keep meeting each other every 2 weeks, we will get to know each other. And then there is a photo contest, which I'll talk about at the end. You can also put in your entries for the photo contest. I think the last date is 13th of October, if I remember correctly. You have a good 5 weeks to go, four weeks or so to go for that, 5 weeks maybe. And we will have plenty of opportunities to interact. But WhatsApp is not doable because we are a very large group and because we already have a forum where we can interact with each other. Okay. So Fatima is asking, she is asking a question, what advice would you give to aspiring photojournalists in today's digital age?
One thing is, earlier in the film days, before the digital age came in, there was no scope for us to show our work to others. But now, since the digital age has come in there, even storage, even if you had to go for an interview, you had to take huge amount files of photographs to be shown and all that. But now, since the digital age has come about, one thing is you can keep shooting pictures, you can keep shooting themes, you can keep shooting photo stories and upload them on the net. And that is the way you sort of expand your horizon. You learn to think, look at things differently, and then it's very easy for you to send that link onto your web page to any newspaper or anything. So for them, to the photo editors over there, to have a look at it, and then probably use your pictures or even give you an appointment. So the digital age has made things slightly easy for photojournalists, especially photojournalists, to showcase the work. And if not for in terms of employment, but you can certainly do a lot of India is a place which gives you plenty of opportunities to do photography. So what you need in photography, one is good light. You have fantastic light, at least for 12 hours a day, for at least probably wherever you are, anything between 10 months to 11 months in a year. Very good light for photography. Right from morning, 7:30, the sun rises with good light for photography. You can shoot for 3-4 hours, and then evening from 3 o'clock onwards till about 5:30 or 6. And again, in terms of subject, fantastic scope of subject. Even if you take the transport, you have the bullock cart right up to the rockets that go to the moon. And you take jewelry, you have so much of jewelry. Every region has its own jewelry, dresses, costumes, and lifestyles of people. Then the manual farming which still goes on here. So in terms of subject, two things which you need, one is the subject, one is the light. Both are available in plenty in India, and especially when you go slightly to the rural areas, even 10 kilometers away from your city, people are willing to pose for you. They come forward to pose for you. That is one thing which is not available in most European countries. As soon as you take your camera out, they ask you questions, they want the contract signed and all that. But here, children, school-going children to elderly people, candidates especially, you're free to shoot. And the best place for a photojournalist to learn, to hone their skills, is India.
Thank you, sir. Fatima, did that help you? Fatima, does that satisfy your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, a couple of other people want to ask questions. So, Bidan, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, actually, I want to know about most appropriate lenses for photojournalism. Ma'am, actually, I want to know about how to capture riots-like event or violence-like event.
The best lens for a photojournalist is basically a short zoom and a longer zoom. Basically, a zoom which I have, if you're using a crop sensor camera, you have 18 to 105 zoom length, which will cover 90% of whatever you want to shoot. This 18 to 105 is somewhere equivalent to 24 to 150 in a regular full frame camera. So that would probably be enough to shoot about 90% of whatever you have in mind. Of course, you will go in for an extra lens which will give you for shooting very distant subjects and all that. But basically, this one lens will probably be enough to cover most of the subjects which you have in mind. What was your other question?
I think he asked covering riots. You asked that, Bidan? What was that? Second question.
Yes. Violence like event.
So repeat your question for sir once again, please.
The second part of the question, you asked something about.
Ma'am, actually, I want to know about most appropriate lenses for photojournalism.
Yeah.
And I want to know about which lenses is most appropriate to capture riots like event or something in emergency, like Indian-Pakistan border, like.
Yeah, but that you got to be a photojournalist. You got to have access to those places, no? Unless you have access, you can't. Like, for example, even now after so many years, I don't have access to shoot in certain temples. The Tamil Nadu government has still not given me permission to shoot temples under their thing. If I was still employed with the Hindu, probably I would have got it. But access is the most important thing. Certain places like India-Pakistan border. If you're talking about Wagah border, I think anybody can go there and shoot pictures. That's not a problem. But in certain places where only media is allowed, there you would have a problem. But as a photojournalist, as I told you in the earlier question, there are so many stories waiting to be made, in India. There are so many stories waiting to be made. It's just limited by your imagination. But whatever you see, there's a story behind it. Even if you see let's say even if you see a fruit seller on the road, there's a story behind that fruit seller. You go there and do that story. There is a story behind every scene which you see.
I hope, Bidan, you are somewhat satisfied. Like sir rightly said,
Thank you so much.
that as a photojournalist, one has to either you have your press card, you are affiliated to any organization, so you get access to sensitive areas, or otherwise, it is a lot. I mean, as you will go through the course and you will listen to the interviews with so many different, very experienced senior photographers and photojournalists, you will learn that the reality of the real world, the way it is, how it is, every minute we have to navigate and we have to respond to that moment. And sometimes we can do something, sometimes we cannot do some things. What you can do, you should do. What you cannot do, you have to accept it. So a lot of presence of mind is needed, and being able to deal with different situations is also part of the training of being a photojournalist. Not only knowing how to handle your camera, but what we did in the first week, lessons in the first week, the qualities and skills needed to be a photojournalist. Desikan sir is not only a person who knows how to use a camera, he knows how to use his common sense, his presence of mind, his public relations skills, his tact, his observation, his empathy, and all of that together he utilizes whenever he goes at any location to come back with pictures from there. So please look at photography and photojournalism in a holistic manner. And your camera is your toolkit. It helps you to get the pictures, but you are the most important instrument. You are the one who's going to make the picture. Okay, so now let's take the next question. I think Vamsi, you had raised a hand. You want to ask a question? After that, Aditya, you can go after Vamsi, and Satish, you can go after Aditya. Yeah, Vamsi, please, you can unmute yourself if you want.
Namaskaram, ma'am. Namaskaram, sir. I think I am audible, sir.
Yes, you are.
Sir, and my question is like, when I'm approaching to a person, something holds me back, sir. Like a thought, or like how to approach them, or even after approaching them, it's not like like fully 100%. I'm not able to give, sir, because after my photos or some people start expecting written from me, sir. As a student, uh, I was not able to give back them like the most people expecting money from me. Like after finishing, uh, how to overcome this, or how to better approach to them, sir. That's my question.
No, the first thing that you have tried to interact with your subject, that's very good. That's the way to go about it. And you have to talk to them, win their confidence. See, supposing, let's say you are sure you want to shoot a series of pictures on a cobbler doing his work. Now you just can't go blindly, take out your camera when you're doing something and start to shoot. You have to go interact with him, then tell him why you want to shoot his pictures, gain his confidence, and then start to shoot. Very few people will object to it. In my own thing now, I'm touring in Kumbakonam. I'm going into the Kumbakonam itself is a rural place. I'm going to the interior villages of Kumbakonam where I shoot a lot of people pictures, and none of them object. None of them object. Even in the cities, I don't find people objecting to being photographed, at least in India. I do not know where you are from. I don't know why it's happening to you. But generally, people don't object to being photographed. And again, if they object, then you can't shoot. You shouldn't. That is again infringement of privacy. And whenever you go, you stated that you're already interacting with them, and they're objecting. They're objecting. Move on. Go to somebody else who does not object. And now, when you go there, you don't show up as if you're a big time photographer and you want to do this, you are that, do this. Be humble, be the same, talk to them, talk about their family, talk to him for some time, talk to him or her for some time, and then take out your camera. Don't go immediately, take out your camera to shoot. Don't first interact with them. You want to shoot a series of candids are different. You're going to shoot from a distance, you just shoot and then you push up. That is different. But when you want to do a story on a person, and when you want to shoot a series of pictures on a person, this is how you do it. You're already doing it, but you say you have some problem when some people are objecting. I do not know why. Which are the type of people you are trying to shoot, and why are they objecting? That we have to see.
Sir, it's a great suggestion. Like those people are some people who are uneducated, like some wantedly trying to like some people they know, sir. They just, if I do my work, some will come and just they'll interrupt me and why you are doing this, why you want all this. But there are few people, they are very good to me and they are like nice and warm and heartly, sir.
Yeah.
So how can I deal with these kind of people, sir? Like who are interrupting my work, or
Yeah, you stick to people who are warm to you, who cooperate, who want your this thing, and don't try and force yourself on people who don't want to be photographed. No, that will get you into trouble.
sure, sir.
I want to add to that, Vamsi, that there's something about I mean, as a photographer and photojournalist, you also have to sense, like as Sir said, if people are not comfortable and they don't want to be photographed, we must also have their consent. I mean, we just because we are a photographer, that doesn't give us the right to, do whatever we want. We can try and make a rapport with them. You can talk to them, and if they become comfortable, and then, like Sir said, then take out your camera. Immediately, if you take out a camera, the first thing you go there, they don't know you, and they will be on their guard, and they will not understand your motives also, that why you're coming here. And if they are people who are economically deprived, they will also ask you, okay, you want a photo, then you give us something in return. And it happens very commonly. So be a little patient, spend a little time with your subject, observe, like I said beforehand, Observation is a very important quality to develop within ourselves, anyway in life, more so in photography. And then, if your subject is comfortable and doesn't mind you taking photographs, actually may also offer you a cup of tea, or may take you into the house if you have become so friendly with them. It is quite possible that you make a connection with them and you will become friends, and they'll be very comfortable with you. But if you just use them as people whose pictures you want to take and go away quickly, some people may resent it. And you have to respect it and then step back. And like Sir rightly said, look for other subjects who are open, and you also develop your capacity to build a certain rapport with them, which means certain friendliness and certain interaction. And after that, you take out your camera. Don't be in a hurry to take out your camera the moment you arrive. That will put people, on a defense mechanism. Right?
Actually, 2 days back, I was traveling into the interior villages in Kumbakonam, where I saw a lady carrying a huge vessel. I thought it made a good picture. I stopped the car. Then I requested her. I told her, "Can I take your photograph?" She did, but then she said yes. But after a couple of minutes, just a minute and a half, she was so happy. I did not know for what. Then she said, "I have a small shop. Can you come there and take a photograph of me?" And then I agreed. I said, "Yes, let's do it." And then she very proudly took me to a shop, posed in front of a shop, and I made another picture of her. She never asked for a copy of a photograph. She never asked whether she could have a look at the photograph in the camera. Nothing. It's just that she wanted to be photographed. That's about all. That's about all she wanted. The thing. So it all depends upon the way you approach it. I just wanted to take a photograph with her carrying the huge vessel. Then she said, "No, I have a shop. Can you please come to my shop, take a photograph of my shop with me?"
Thank you, sir. It's a great piece of advice, sir. I'll keep on implement all these small steps, and I'll improve my photography. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you so
most
much.
welcome, Vansi. Very good. So work on your people skills, work on how to interact with the subject, and photography also. Of course, you will do, but the other things as well. Okay, so Aditya has a question. I'll take all the questions one by one, which are on the chat. So Aditya's question, sir, is he says his microphone has an issue, so he's typed it out. His question is about freelancing. While freelancing, what would be the best approach to let people know about one's work, especially those who are relevant for the work being done? So,
Freelancing, see, it's a hit and miss. This thing, you find something like freelancing. What would get sort of published is immediate this thing, accidents. If you're there in the spot, fire, any calamity. If you are nearby, if you take a picture and send it to newspapers, the chances of it getting published is much more than sending an ordinary candid shot or a flower or a scenery to the newspaper. News pictures because newspaper photographers cannot be in every spot where things happen. If you are there in the spot when something is happening, those pictures stand definitely a very good chance of getting published. In not only newspapers, but also there are so many web magazines, there are web newspapers now. All of them would use it, and most of them would pay you also for it.
I would also like to add to this what Sir said. In freelancing, what is quite now, especially with the younger generation, and with this Gen Z, so everybody is on social media. Mostly everybody has an Instagram account. People are sharing their pictures on Instagram. Then there are also certain platforms where people may share the pictures or post the pictures. There'll be groups also on social media where you may share your pictures. Then there may be some contests. All the time, different kind of contests are happening, and you may even put an entry into that contest. So the thing is, in freelancing, two things. One is networking, and second thing is you need to be noticed, or rather your work needs to catch the attention of people who you think may buy your work or who may give you an assignment. So it is indirectly to do with marketing or promoting your own work and showcasing your work to potential clients, potential people. For example, if you want to work with NGOs, then you may reach out to certain kinds of NGOs and saying that you are working in the area of environment or quality education. And, I have been covering these 30, 40 rural schools, and I have a portfolio of documentation, extensive documentation of education in the rural setup in, say, Telangana or, Tamil Nadu or, in Kerala. And I would like to share the portfolio, which will be a digital portfolio. You would have put your photographs on a Google Drive. You will share the Google Drive link. You will reach out to somebody. You will maybe send a direct message, and they will get back to you. And then you will start the conversation on if they may hire you or use your pictures for a project that they are using. So the journey of a freelancer is about being an entrepreneur. You have to reach out to people through various ways. You have to show your work on different platforms. You have to keep your work organized in a digital platform, either a Google Drive or Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, and reach out to people directly who you think you would like to work with. And it's a matter of time. It will take a few months or a few years, but consistency. If you really want to be a freelancer, you have to not give up, because work may not come suddenly. It may take you 6 months or 1 year to be noticed, but you keep showing your work to people. So somewhere somebody will notice, and if they like your work, they will give you an assignment. And you have to be persuasive. You have to have persistence. These are other life skills we need to be able to get people to understand that we are serious about our work. But there are a lot of people who are freelancers, and they get enough work, different kinds of work, which is enough for their needs, both creative as well as economic. All right. So Satish Karichari, you've raised your hand. You can unmute and ask your question. Satish Karichari.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Actually, I'm also a photographer. Basically, I have a long years of experience with a different media organization. I worked with the Tehelka newspaper and DNA newspaper, and finally, I was a chief photographer with the Times of India in Kerala, Trivandrum, till 2020. Unfortunately, right now I'm not a full-time photographer, but I do some small assignments for some like-minded organization and all here. So I just wanted to congratulate Desikan sir. I was listening his class the other days. All 3 weeks class I completed. I did that assignments also. So I was thinking about how energetically he is speaking while teaching the subject. I was so happy to see that. Now I want to ask him only one question about his project. He was in the beginning, ma'am was saying he's doing some project on temple. So I just wanted to know more about that temple. Even one of other photographer, very famous photographer, I met in recent time, couple of years back in Trivandrum. He was also saying that he is doing some photos documentary on Indian temples. So I am very curious on that, how important that subject. So that is none other than Raghu Rai. So I think. So it is because of its importance, people are entering in that subject. And also tell me about the documentary photography a little bit of, sir, because nowadays documentary photography is becoming more important in our country, and a lot of people are working on that field. So if you can share some thoughts, that would be very helpful for people like us, I think. Thank you.
Thank you,
It's good. Now, documentation photography in India is not very popular. Okay, now, even today, if you want a 100-year-old picture of, let's say, the Srirangam temple or the city of Chennai or whatever, you have to refer to the British or the German libraries. Systematic documentation is not taken off as the thing in India. Now, even the Hindu newspaper, which has got over 1.5 million pictures in that thing, which I helped to sort of start the digitization work, they don't have, let us say, you want a photograph of Mount Road, Anna Saleh in Chennai, which is the most important thoroughfare. They might have pictures of Anna Saleh on some occasion, where there is some inauguration of something over there, or there's a traffic block, or there's an accident. But they may not have pictures of Anna Saleh just showing the thoroughfare, just showing what Anna Saleh is. Because newspaper photographers generally go there only when there is an event. You've been in Times of India, you've been a newspaper photographer. Now, this sort of documentation work I started long back. My first documentation work was Chennai, where I have shot about 12,000 photographs of Chennai. And my next one was on Kanjipuram. Kanjipuram is again a temple city. I systematically documented around 400 temples over there. It took me about 1.5 years. And of course, I did get a sponsor for all my work. You've got to get a sponsor. Always out of your own funds, you can't do it. I have a very good sponsor who sponsors my work. And then I did the forts in Tamil Nadu, where I photographed around 38 forts. It took me about 6 months. I traveled around 8,000 kilometers by road for doing this. Now I'm in Kumbakonam. This is my fourth documentation project in Kumbakonam. I want to photograph. Basically, what my aim is, most of these temples, most of these heritage structures are disappearing. Now, the only way to show that it existed, to show that it was there during this period, is by photographs. And that is why I'm not touching any of the big temples so far. Big temples, people have enough and more photograph books have been made. I'm going into interior villages, smaller temples here, which are also, you wouldn't believe it, most of the temples here were built during the Cholas, not Rajaraja Chola, but even his grandfather's time. These temples are between 1,300 to 2,000 years old. Most of the temples are. And they are small temples. They're not very big temples. They are smaller temples. They have a big gopram. They have some sculptures inside and things like that. So systematically doing these temples, I've done about 100 so far in about 2 months' time, which I've been here. So the documentation of this thing is very, very important for the future, for the culture, for preserving the culture, for preserving our heritage. It need not necessarily be temples. You can document, let us say, the dresses people wear today. You can document the jewelry people wear today. Any such thing, systematic work is documentation work. You can take up any sort of documentation. You can document how agriculture is being done today. Okay, because in 25 years now, agriculture may not be the same what it has been today. So you need a visual record of these things. This is basically what documentation is, photography is about, to create a visual record of what is happening, what it is today. That is basically what documentation work is about. It is a very, very, very important work which has not been properly analyzed or used or done by people. I do wish that since you have the background in photography, you would start doing things, documenting things, and I do hope also you get sponsors for it.
Thank you so much, sir. There are a lot of questions. I hope, Satishan, this was helpful. And as you are already a practicing photographer and photojournalist, you know how it is when you are in a place and you find that there is a story or a subject that merits documentation, that you feel is worthy, that we should preserve it, the memory of it, and the photograph is the best way to preserve the memory. Then we must spend some time and go deeply into it so we can go beyond the surface. I think one important characteristic of documentary photography is that we go beyond the surface. We just don't come back with one picture. we spend enough time to see that subject over maybe a period of time and see how it changes or it evolves, or try to understand the intricacies or the depths of that subject. And through documentary photography, put all of this together and bring it out as an assemblage that people can then understand that what it is about. So a very holistic and a comprehensive coverage of something which is not a just one standalone image. It has got more depth and more understanding. So documentary photography is a very important and a very enriching field. And like Sir said, if you get into it, even if you're not working professionally with any news organization, but since you have the knowledge, the experience, and the skill, you can put it to use on your own independent projects. You can take up independent photo projects and do them. Or if you're lucky, you can also find maybe a sponsor or a patron who can help you to fund your projects. Or look for some grants or some competitions where you can try and find some sort of a support for the work you do. But very good question. Thank you very much. And now we move on. So now I go to the chat. Tawfiq, I will answer your question towards the end about the course. First, we'll take questions related to photography, but the 0%, don't worry. Course material, don't worry. That's all I'll talk in the at the end, because otherwise the flow will be broken. I'll take all your questions related to the course and the conduct. Then, Sir Rajesh Ramavarapu asks, needed to understand on copywriting of pictures, video, and protecting your picture or footage under the IPR section. Thanks.
If you want to copyright your picture, it's an expensive thing. So I have, in fact, the Copyright Act says the copyright of a photograph dies doesn't exist from, I think, 70 years. Now it's changed to 50 years after the photographer's death. Till the time you hold the copyright. Nobody can, if you're alive, you're the thing, nobody can. But if you want to really professionally or how do you call it, technically copyright a picture, it costs a lot of money. It costs almost, when I inquired, they told me it costs around 10,000 rupees to copyright a picture, to hold a copyright. But you don't have to. You don't have to copyright, you own the copyright. The copyright of a photograph or an art thing is ceases to exist only 50 years after other photographers or the creators death. So you don't have to worry too much about copyright. If you find somebody else using your photograph without your permission, you can sue them.
Okay. So, and another thing I want to say is that Sir talked about if you want your pictures to be copyrighted, but if you want to use other people's work, what do?
You
If
can't,
you know,
unless you get permission, you can't use other people.
yeah, you have to take permissions. You cannot use other people's work without getting permission, and then you have to acknowledge them. You have to attribute them. You have to give the photo credits after getting the permission. And if you don't have the permission, then we can't use it, because then we are violating. I mean, that we are not the author of the work. So that also we have to be careful. So Sir Sarthak Agarwal has a question. Not sure if it is related to photojournalism, but it is related to mobile journalism. My question is, ma'am, for example, if I don't have enough money to buy a camera, but I have a good phone, would that also work? Yes, it would, sir. Yeah.
Yes. Even your this competition, which is going to be announced, you can use your mobile phone for it. And till you get your this thing, don't let go of any photographic opportunity because you don't have a camera and you have a good mobile. Yes, go ahead, shoot. Nowadays, mobile quality pictures are accepted. So don't let that till you get your camera. Go ahead and shoot with your mobile. No, you can be creative with your mobile also.
And the truth is, today, a lot of people are actually using their mobiles, especially news photography. They quickly need to get a picture and they need to file it and send it. They find it convenient. If you go to a press, where the press is, you'll find some people have DSLRs, and a lot of people are just taking the pictures with their mobiles. So it depends on what you're shooting, where you're shooting, and a lot of competitions have now two categories. One is the DSLR category, and the other is the mobile category.
Yes, yes.
So you can people who are submitting in the mobile category, they're competing with other people who've used the mobile camera, and people who are submitting in the DSLR category are competing with other people who've used a single lens reflex camera. So a better sophisticated camera gives you more options. But to start with, you can use any camera, mobile or your digital SLR camera. So, sir, now Ajit Kumar Joseph is asking, sir, your class is very nice. Can you briefly tell a little more about the relation between shutter speed, aperture, and ISO?
This is exactly called the exposure triangle, where I think it has been explained in the class, the exposure triangle, because when for the given amount of light, for a given amount of light, you should have this combination: the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture. Now, let us say for you have a certain light condition where your shutter speed is 1/250 and aperture is f11. So it could be probably bright sunlight. Now within that, the thing for the same, you can't change the light. You can't change the light. Okay, the light is fixed. Light is fixed. Available sunlight, the intensity of the light is fixed. Now you can play around with the other two. You can play around with all the three. You can probably shoot at, let us say, 200 ISO or 300 ISO, and accordingly change the shutter speed or the aperture or both for the given amount of light. I really do not know whether I'm making myself very clear, but the exposure triangle within for that given quantity of light can be played around to suit the subject. For example, if you're shooting a fast-moving car, then you got to move on to a faster shutter speed. When you move on to a faster shutter speed, you're allowing lesser amount of light. So to allow the same amount of light, X amount of light, you got to open up the aperture. You got to go to a wider aperture. Or for example, you want to blur the background. Let's say you got to completely blur the background. Then you are decreasing the depth of field. So you got to go to a wider opening. You got to go to 3.5 or 2.8. So what will happen to the shutter speed? You got to go to a faster shutter speed to allow the same amount of light hitting the camera. Or for example, you want more depth of field. You want the background to be extremely sharp. Then you got to use a smaller aperture opening. You got to go to f11 or f16. So you're allowing lesser amount of light to the camera. So what you have to do is you got to go to a slower shutter speed. So this about all. I think this over a chat session is very difficult to explain, but it could be very clear. I think we are giving you examples. We are giving you everything on the exposure triangle in the course.
True. In the recorded lessons, we have Sir has given a lot of examples. We have a lot of examples of his photographs. Then we have created a lot of illustrations and a lot of animation and graphics to demonstrate the relationship between these three aspects of the exposure triangle. And each and every aspect of shallow depth of field, good depth of field, then fast shutter speed, slow shutter speed, then your aperture opening, a wider opening and a narrower opening has been shown very, very, very explicitly and very visually. So if you can go through it once again and also read the academic script. In the academic script, you can read once again the concepts and follow it for a revision, and that will help you to consolidate your concepts. And then the next thing is to practice it. When you practice it, you will get the confidence. So very good questions. I'm very happy that today we are getting very specific and very pointed questions, which reflects that all of you are really following the content and engaging with the content, and you have things to ask. That's really excellent. Now, there are two people who've raised their hands. Also on the chat, there are questions which I will read out, but Aparupa and Vamsi, any one of you can go ahead. So Aparupa has raised a hand and so has Vamsi. Please unmute. Yeah, Aparupa, carry on.
Ma'am, actually, I have worked with a NGO before,
Mhm.
and I have clicked some pictures there in Ganga Sagar Sundarban areas. They worked about climate change and their consequences in cultivation in rice. So I have clicked pictures of cultivation process, but
Mhm.
never posted any one of them. I never got the courage to post it on Meta or Instagram
Okay.
because my all of the accounts are almost private, and there are limited friends. So I wanted to share a in a place where um, people can see it.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
people. Actually, I wanted to reach more people. So can you please suggest some platform that I can share those pictures and works I have worked?
See, as of now, what I said was like maybe there are around a few, I don't know, 800 or 900 people in the discussion forum. So if you already started sharing your photographs, if you start sharing your photographs there, at least you will get some feedback or some people will see that. Let's do that for starting. Then let us think about it that those, because we had earlier in previous batches, we had made a Facebook group in the course and people could share the photographs. But we stopped that last year because a lot of people started sharing photographs of just birthday cakes and and more birthdays and people sitting in the house. And we were not really getting photojournalistic work. So that was not really working out. Now I have shared the Instagram link with you. I've started a community on Instagram, and I will and because I want to show Desikan sir also because all his work is on Instagram right now, which are every week we are releasing. I also want to take this opportunity to show him that how we are now mediating and we are bringing out the content which is there on Swayam as short reels to create an interest in the wider community on what we are teaching in this course. And I will show that to you. And let us play and see that if there is a way that if you can start sharing or tagging this account and your picture is shown in our Instagram account. Maybe, I mean, I'm also learning about social media. I'm not an expert, but maybe there are ways where you can post pictures and you can tag this account and then the picture will come here as well and then we have 13,600 followers and we are reaching out to around 10,000 accounts in
Hmm.
over on an average over 30 days, and I will show you the kind of content that we are posting related to our photojournalism posts. So maybe that could be a forum where you can start sharing because that is a community where we're talking about photojournalism.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I put the link on the chat. All of you can look at the link, and I will also share the page after we've gone through the questions.
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Vamsi, please go ahead.
Uh, Ma'am, I had a suggestion for that for that case, ma'am.
Yeah.
Like not only in a community, ma'am, but like in a like Sony, Nikon, Canon, Fuji, every camera brands have their own pages, ma'am. Like own like we'll have no, ma'am, like Canon official, Nikon. In that, we can upload our photos in that web, ma'am, and we can it will reach to many people, like not only certain age, but every person in that group, because most people, like whoever brought cameras, will follow those groups, and most people will follow for those groups for workshops, online, like online classes, everything. We can share it even in those, ma'am.
Definitely. Vamsi, I'll just tell you one thing because now that I started this Instagram account for the Department of Electronic Media Mass Communication, where I teach in Pondicherry University, and I noticed that because we're posting so much of content on photojournalism, Instagram is suggesting a lot of accounts for me to follow. And when I click on those accounts, there are so many photo contests that are happening. 20,000 euros, grant on environmental, photography. And there's so many suggestions that are coming up. But the thing is, now I can't share their work. I mean, I can only go on the chat and I can share it individually. But then I found out how can I do it? Then somebody said you can share it as a story. If you really like something which is worth sharing, then it can be shared as a story. But then people who are active on the account and who are following the stories, they would get to know. But I also realized on Instagram that like Fujifilm, and they have so many competitions, contests, pages. The communities are very vibrant and throbbing, but you need to know where the action is happening. So my suggestion is, Vamsi, that maybe because in Insta, I mean, I can put a story, but usually only 120 or 130 people I see views on a story out of 13,600 followers. So maybe what we can do is the links we can't share on Insta. So if there are these links of pages, you can put them together. And like I said earlier on, let's make our discussion forum very vibrant. On
Yes,
the
ma'am.
discussion forum, you can initiate, like you have already. I want to appreciate you because before I responded, you responded to some people who had asked questions, and that was very nice of you. That you said that I have already answered, or I've already given the answer. So by the time I got to the question to answer, you had given a very good response, and I that's really mature and very 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 engaging. And I hope, like all the people who are there today can help each other, support each other. And you know about these pages, Canon, Nikon, Fujifilm. There's so many competitions happening. You never know, if your photographs are really good, you may get a grant, you may get a fellowship to work on something for 1 year. So there are a lot of opportunities. But unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time to get every link, find it, copy paste, and send it to you because I have a lot of things to do. But if we can get help from each one of you and we can start sharing, then everybody in our community on the discussion forum and the Instagram community can benefit from it. And
Sure,
it's a free space. Just share. You don't know what may happen where. That's the magic. Just keep trying.
sure, ma'am. And I had a question, ma'am.
Yes, please ask.
Uh, sir, like many contests are happening right now, sir. Like, uh, winner of winner of every contest, the image first prize or second prize, the images are so, the midground, foreground, background are clean and so simple, and the subject is very minimum and simple, sir. Those are getting first prizes, sir. Few people who are working they are getting runner-ups. Few people are developing in such a way that by simply showing like for an example, a boy in certain situations, like a story, sir. They're winning the prizes. How can we develop such a perspective, sir?
Uh, yeah, it all depends upon what the judges are looking for. They would have probably given you what the theme for the contest is. Now, if that photograph satisfies the theme for the contest and the judges like it, they would give it. Again, most of these photo competitions, uh, if I'm judging a particular photo competition, I might choose something which I like. If somebody else is judging the same competition, he or she may not be choosing the same picture which I have chosen. It all depends again on the judge's mindset. It all depends upon whether the judges accept that your photograph is part of the theme which they have set out for the contest. So we cannot quantify. We cannot say how is it that the boy just looking into this thing is won a prize, whereas somebody has put in a lot of it. It's not the question of putting a lot of effort and not getting a prize and not putting it. It all this candid side of a picture is not instantaneous. You know what happens immediately and how you react to it, how you react to something which is happening, and you're able to immediately frame a composition, frame a this thing, and then shoot. You're not going to shoot. I don't think most people, as soon as they see a competition, the team, they would have pictures with them for the team. They would probably send it. I really do not know how many after seeing the team would go out. I'm not talking about the beginners. I'm talking about people who have been in photographic field for some time will go out and shoot pictures for their team. So that is why I say whenever you are going out with a camera, whenever you feel something interesting, something very nice, something candid, go ahead and shoot. You may not be using it now, but it could be used probably for a competition which will satisfy, which your photograph will satisfy the team.
Sure, sir. I learned a lot, sir, from ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and Vamsi, what I want to say, Vamsi, don't worry about winning a prize because it's relative. You know, you are very good, but there are others also who are very good. And the jury members will be making a decision between whatever entries they get. And it's very difficult to be on a jury and to see, you know, it's very difficult. There's so much of creativity, but there are only three prizes. It's very difficult. So don't feel disheartened if you do not make it to a first, second, third prize. What is important is you are developing you're training your eye how to make a picture. You're trying to feel that moment, that what is something special here which others will also relate to and enjoy visually. So you concentrate on the process of making the photograph and do the best you can and then submit it. Then what the jury wants, what who all are also submitting the photographs along with you, you do not know the standard, that we cannot control. That never ever in life you should feel bad when you thought you deserved something and you didn't get it, because we can only do our work. We cannot command or demand that we should get, you know, this because we have done this. That we cannot control the output of our efforts. What we can control is the input. What do we give? Let us give the best. Otherwise, you know, you will start getting disappointed that competition after competition, I am giving so many, but I am not getting a prize. But then there are thousands of people who are giving these entries, and there are only three winners. So it's not easy. But enjoy the process, and then this will help you to develop your portfolio, and something good will come out of it, is what I believe. Really.
In fact,
Sure.
I've been part of the jury for several national and international competitions where the juries will be 3 to 5. And not even in one competition where all the 3 or 5 juries have agreed on one picture to be the best. You know, all of us have our own ways of doing it. Finally, you know, we shortlist the picture, then there is a discussion on why, I would say why I chose my picture to be one. I would give out my reasons, the other jury would give out their reasons for choosing that particular picture. And then we arrive at a consensus. And this is how the judging of pictures are done.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so sir, the next question is Sarthak is asking one more question. He asked about the mobile, sir. He's asking, I have another question related to mobile photography. Aren't there a lot more cons for using phones for photos? For example, more pixelated photos, tall towers appear to be leaning, etc. Is there any way to rectify these cons there through the mobile? Sarthak is asking.
No, no. Pixelization is again depends upon the sensor in your mobile phone. And tall building leaning back, you have to move back to shoot. You know, you got to see that when you shoot, the vertical lines are straight. The vertical and the horizontal axis are straight. And tall picture leaning back is not only, you know, is related to mobile, but is related to regular, even DSLR, where you don't have enough space to go back and shoot. And when you have a lens which is 24 mm or 18 mm, which is not enough, then you have to, the building will tilt back a bit. You can try and straighten it out in your software using your Photoshop or whatever software, you can straighten it out a bit. But leaning towers, leaning this thing is, in fact, I'll tell you my own example. When there was a collection of photographs which I owned, I bought over, which were shot of Chennai between 1880 and 1920. Those days, the roads were not so crowded with other buildings. The other side of the road was vacant. The photographer then had enough space to move back and shoot that building, which was absolutely straight with all the horizontal and vertical axis straight. So when so I did the same. They wanted me to do the same building from the same place in 2005. Sorry, not 2005. It was 1990. 1990 was my first this thing. But when I went there, when I went to the same place, even with the widest angles of lenses which I had, the buildings were tilted because lot more buildings have come up in the space and there was no space to move back. The perspective has changed. The perspective has completely changed. So sometimes you are forced to shoot pictures which lean backward. But pixelization is a different thing. Pixelization is again the capability or the quality of your sensor.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is Rajesh is giving a, I don't know, Rajesh, is it a question or a comment? He's written, watchdog journalism is a form of investigative journalism where journalists, authors, or publishers of news publication fact check and interview political and public figures to increase accountability in democratic governance systems from Wikipedia. So what is the point you want to make here, Rajesh Ramavarappu? What you've written is fine about watchdog journalism, but what is your intervention, your question or comment? Can you tell us? I don't understand the context of this quote here. Your picture will speak if you permit. He wants to share a picture. We will do it after about 5-7 minutes. Let's finish all the questions. He's keen to show a picture of his, which is related to watchdog journalism. We will have a look at it, Rajesh. You can share it. Let us finish answering all the questions. There are 2 or 3 other questions.
One minute, I'll just intervene here.
Yes,
watchdog journalism is something fantastic. Without this watchdog journalism, so many crimes which are being committed nowadays would not have come to light. Okay, without people, public going around with a mobile phone, shooting politicians, beating up people, policemen beating up people. All these are all watchdog journalism. All these are watchdog. And then the biggest thing now has been, which has led to so many crimes being unveiled or so many crimes being discovered, is your CCTV cameras. CCTV camera is one of the best watchdog journalists, I would say, today.
Okay. Thank you, sir. There are 2 questions, sir, which are related to the course conduct. I'll quickly answer these. Devashri, you have asked that you've recently joined the course. You watched a few videos, but you don't see your progress, and your progress is 0%. Devashri, have you joined the discussion group?
No, ma'am.
Please join it, because today I gave a very long response on the discussion group to a gentleman. He has joined yesterday. If I remember his name, in the morning, I replied to him, and the same question, 10 people will ask me, but if you're in the discussion group, then you will get to know. So this one, Hemendra Pratap Singh has written, I just joined on 31st August, and he's asking. And then there's another person who's asking that, Chris is asking that I don't see any course progress. It is not marked as complete. So today only I have answered both of these learners on the discussion forum. And if you join the discussion forum, you will see my response, and then you will also get the answer. Then I don't have to give the same reply to 20 times over. But I'll say it right now for the record, that this progress thing, I don't know, there is some glitch in the back end of the technical management of the dashboard, which when you see a video or when you attempt open a PDF, they will mark you as 2% done, 5% done. But it is never accurate. Every year students have problems with it and they get worried about it. So what I want to say is, please don't worry about your progress is 0 or 5% or 10%, because that progress nobody is looking at for evaluation purposes. For evaluation purposes, the assignments that you submit, which I will be marking, which are multiple choice questions, practical photography, and writing assignments, you should do minimum 5 to pass. But if you do at least 10, I can choose your 10 highest scores, 10 best scores for the internal assessment, which is 30% of weightage, and 70% weightage is for the final exam. So if you're doing your assignments and giving them in and you're doing well, That's all that is needed for the internal assessments. This course progress and all is not at all relevant. Just forget about it. And I'm writing it also to many people, but again and again, I'm getting a new query. And people like Tawfiq is asking, that Tawfiq has joined only yesterday. Tawfiq, likewise, I have replied to Hemendra Pratap Singh this morning. So you also joined the discussion forum. And I've written here that around, I think, 70, 80 people have joined yesterday. So now the closing count is 1,577. But on 30th, there were 1,490 people or something, midnight. So morning. And yesterday, around definitely 70, 80 people have joined yesterday. Now they have to start from this week itself. But there's nothing to worry, because the content you have for every week is about 90 minutes of video. 90 minutes. One lesson is about 30 minutes, divided into 3 parts of about 10 to 12 minutes each. Then lesson 2, again 30 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes each, or 8 minutes, 3 parts. So if you can take out, say, this week, say, take out 9 hours this week, say, take out 1.5 hours every day, and you can watch one lesson every day, then you can cover 3 weeks in this week. Next week, you can cover the next 3 weeks. In the third week, you can cover the 7th, 8th, and 9th week. And by the third or fourth week, which is by the end of September, you'll be at par and equal with the people who had joined on 15th of July. Because they are going slowly. They are looking only at 3 lessons per week, which is only 90 minutes of content. You will have to go a little bit more intensely, and rather than seeing 90 minutes of content, you can see 90 minutes into 3, which means around 4.5 hours of content you can see every week. And then within a month, you will be at par. And all the assignments that I've given, the ending is from the starting middle of September for the basic photography assignment, then October, and all multiple choice question assignments that are there in the course, all of them, the last date to submit your assignment is the last date of the course, which is 31st of October. So your multiple choice question assignments, when you've gone through the videos, then you can go through the academic script, and then you can give the MCQ when you're confident. Till the last date you can give it, because the system will correct it. I have fed the keys. But the photographs I'll be correcting, and the written assignments I'll be correcting, which I will start doing after the last date of that assignment. Because people will keep submitting the assignment in the coming weeks. And all of you have joined late, have enough time to do your work. You don't have to worry. There is a photo contest. We will share about the photo contest right now as well. And in that also, we have given enough time. Mr. Balamurugan, can you just share the photo contest poster with them? And we'll post it again tomorrow. Mr. Balamurugan, are you sharing the photo contest image? Yeah. So let him share. We have every year since the 2021, since the year this course began, to give an incentive and encouragement to people who join the course, we have a photo contest only for people who have joined this year's batch. So then you will do a photo, submit your entries. There will be a jury, and there will be a certificate of appreciation for everybody who joins, and certificate of excellence with cash prizes for people who are the winners. And we have, I think, 8 prizes, first, second, third, and 5 special mention. So our theme for this year is ecopreneurship, and the starting date was World Photography Day, 19th of August. And if you have not listened to the World Photography Day special interaction, please listen to the recording. It's there in week 3 and 4 dashboard. And this photo contest gives all the directions or instructions are all given. Can you scroll down, Mr. Balamurugan, to the second page, possible? and this is already shared. If you will go to the mails that have been sent, because if you're in the discussion forum, you'll get access to everything. And once again, now that the registrations are closed, once again, I will share the photo contest tomorrow, so that everybody will know who have joined later on that what the photo contest is about. And you have time until the 13th of October to submit your work. And if you want to share some pictures in the discussion forum to get feedback, that also you're welcome. That already some learners have started doing in the course. So you can do that. Yeah, so this is the second page. And in the second page, all these photographs that you see have been taken by Desikan sir. And he's been very generous to share his photographs, to give an example of who are these people who are working, who are micro entrepreneurs, but who are also working in an environmentally sustainable manner. They are not doing things which are not good for our environment or our planet Earth. So you have to identify those subjects who are having a livelihood, who have to earn their roti, their rice, their food, and they have to live. But they're also being sensitive to the environment, and they respect the environment as they work. So proper directions and instructions are given, examples are given. You have about 5 weeks to think and put your photo story together. You have to give photo captions, you have to give a text of telling your photo story and how to do a photo story. All that you'll be learning in these coming weeks as well. So as you keep learning in the course, then you have an opportunity to apply your learning and enter into the photo contest. And we will make a PDF at the end. We do it every year, and we will share it with all the learners. So in that PDF, we will put, and now this year we have the Instagram account, so we can also post on Instagram. We didn't have the account last year, but this year, since I am managing the Instagram account, I can also, the good work which comes up through the photo story in this photo contest can be shared publicly on our account as well. Thank you, Mr. Balamurugan, for sharing. Now I will share the Instagram account with you and show you how whatever work we are giving you on Swayam, we are giving people a little bit of a glimpse of it. I did share. Where did it go? It's coming. So do you see this? So this is the Department of Electronic Media and Mass Communication, Pondicherry University. That is where I teach. And this is the department and the university which is hosting this course. It has been made with the support of the Educational Multimedia Research Center, which has developed this course. But I teach in the Department of Electronic Media and Mass Communication, and I'm also the director in charge of the Educational Multimedia Research Center. So both these units in Pondicherry University work hand in hand to do service to the maximum number of stakeholders in higher education. So you will see here we have all these folders here, and you can see that on our Instagram, every day we are posting a reel for a minute, 50 seconds or 1 minute, which is an excerpt from that particular lesson. And the idea is that people who have not joined the course, then they can also get an idea that what is this course all about and what are the different kinds of topics we are covering in the course. So sorry. So this gives you an idea, and for example, this is yesterday's. We have posted it yesterday. Okay, so I'm not logged in here, but you got an idea that. So here on Instagram, whatever you are learning in Swayam, we have attempted to reach out to our community, a larger community, and let them know that there is this course where there's a lot of variety of discussion and teaching on the subject of photography and photojournalism. I think some people have joined the course after seeing these short reels on Instagram, and we have had quite a few people joining over the last few weeks. And we will continue till October 31st, putting up a short reel, every now and then, every 2 days or so, we'll put up a reel to show people who have not joined the course that what is the course about. So if they like, they can join it next year, because again, in May next year, the course will open. Secondly, for all of you who are already in the course, you can engage with these reels. You can give comments on them that, what have you learned from Desikan sir or Raghurai or Dinesh Krishnan or Gurinder Osan. So you can engage, give a comment, share it with others, and then slowly we can build a community, and then we can find ways of how we can start tagging your work, and you can start tagging the work, and genuinely and organically we build this community with all of us who are interested in being a part of it. So that is the attempt, that it will cover all things related to media, including this very important component of this online course on photojournalism that we are covering. So the link I have already given before on the chat, and I don't know if people who joined late will have access to it. So I can copy it once again and give it again. And meanwhile, Rajesh, you can share. I have stopped sharing. You can share your picture. The picture that you want to share with everybody, you can share. So let's have a look at his picture.
Yeah, nice. But I wish you'd taken a slightly higher viewpoint, because what hits the eye immediately as soon as you see the picture is not the dog on the bonnet, but the bumper and the headlights and other things. That if you had taken a slightly higher view, and probably this picture would have been much better, because initially I got to go looking for the dog. Instead of that, the dog on the bonnet would hit the first thing when I see the picture.
So Rajesh, can you tell us how this picture you think is about investigative journalism or watchdog journalism? Can you tell us?
Ma'am, am I
Rajesh?
audible?
You are Rajesh, yes.
Basically, the definition that I have put up of Wikipedia, and this the glass, if you can see, it's a car of a press personality. In fact, if you can see the red press tag on that, and well, somebody has just left it there, and a dog comes and keeps a watch on what all that is happening. It was a very casual and very silent shot. Sir was mentioning about usage of mobile phone, and there was a participant in the session also who was talking about her mobile pictures which she has not been able to share or something like that. I'm saying, and going by what sir has openly suggested, that yes, you should be able to share some of them in open forums. I thought this is something relevant to the definition that has been given in the Wikipedia, and I thought it's something can be shared so that everybody can go about sharing their shots of relevance in the forums to come. Actually,
now that you explained why you took that picture has a different meaning now. But what I say is, now anyone looking at the picture without the explanation should be able to get at what message you're trying to give to the picture. What's the point in showing me the full car and all that? You could have just gone in much closer, just shown a little bit of the bonnet, and then shown the dog, and then the press sign just behind it. No, that
Sir,
could
I've not zoomed it. I've not zoomed it, but if I further zoom and then crop it, then probably I'll get the actual shot with the caption.
yeah,
This is very
that's why your picture has got lost because of the
absolutely.
totally unwanted element.
I agree with you, sir. This is more to showcase that yes, casual shots can also mean a lot in terms of photojournalism, and one can always capture them, keep it for posterity. As you have been mentioning about lots of spiritual shots, which can be referred to in future by generations. And I thought, this is one picture which can mean a lot once I really start editing on it and come back with the caption.
Yeah.
But this is very casual shot, sir. So I'm sure people would appreciate at this stage as it is. And once I edit and give a good caption, I think yes, whatever that you were suggesting could come out in terms of the meaning and the essence of it.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to share it, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Rajesh, for sharing. Let me see if there's any other question on the chat. I don't see any more questions on the chat. Does anybody have any other question? And Tawfiq, I hope I have answered your question. So there are no worries now, right, Tawfiq?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so don't worry at all. And the content is structured in a very systematic manner, and it's a very comfortable pace. But of course, if you're doing an online course, what is really important is you need a little bit of self-discipline, because you're not physically going into a class at 10 o'clock and sitting in the classroom till 11 o'clock. There is nobody taking attendance. There's nobody sitting on your head. So only if we are motivated and if we are interested, then we can take out the time. It can be in the evening, it can be at night, it can be in any morning, it can be on a weekday, it can be on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday. You have access to the content. Every week you will keep getting access to more content, and then it's up to you how you will catch up, which what is your comfort zone. When you want to watch the videos, you can watch them on your mobile, or you can watch them on a laptop or a tablet. Then you can go through the scripts, and definitely you must look at the online resources. There is below every video a PDF with online resources, which has many more very useful links which are given to you to learn more, and they're very interesting as well. So do open those online resources, browse through them, and that will add, there's a value addition to your learning. So if you do all of this and you enjoy doing it, you don't have to worry, and there's enough time to do the assignments. That also there's no worry. Photo contest is open to all of you also. That's not a problem. We will again meet 2 weeks from now. And somebody asked a question about Phantom. I don't know what's your real name, but Phantom here asks a question about, ma'am, is the final exam also in the online mode? No, a big no. The exam is conducted by the NTA, and NTA conducts a proctored written examination. As of now, the date assigned to our course is December 8th, but it may change. They may change it to maybe a week after or 10 days after. We will get to know. But the registration for the exam, I think, will start in October. Most probably, NTA will announce that the registration for SWAYAM exams is in beginning. And the exams, I have nothing to do in the exam. I prepare the question paper and I send it to NTA. But NTA administers the exam. So the NTA will be you'll be dealing with NTA for application form, paying off the examination fee. Then you will get your admit card. Then you will be given the center. You have to choose 3 centers, preference 1, 2, and 3. And so the exam is totally conducted by the NTA. I will submit the marks of the internal assessment. They will calculate the marks of the external exam, the end semester exam, which will be put together by the national coordinator in Delhi, and then your certificate will be generated. E-certificate you'll get from Ministry of Education that you have certified. Any one of you here is doing it for credits, that you want credits transfer in your university, just put C. You can put C if you're doing the course for credits. Vishal, Dipti, Phantom, Sara, Aditya. Okay. So if you're doing it for credits, Sahil, good. Rajesh. Okay. So if you're doing it for credits, I request you do at least 10 assignments so that I will take your 5 highest scores. I have to mark you out of 500 marks. Every assignment is for 100 marks. So if you do 10 assignments, I will take the 5 highest scores and make an average and send it for internal assessments calculation for 30%. Then your final exam will have a weightage of 70%. And mostly photojournalism is a course where people do very well because people join this course because they're interested. And then when you get your certificate, you will get it maybe in December or January, which means the credits for this semester in our university, the students who do photojournalism in the first semester, they get the credits for it in the second semester. Because only when your certificate comes will your authorities take that certificate and put it into your ABC or into your Smarat account or whatever. So your credits will come into the next semester, but the exam will happen in December and they will take maybe 3 weeks to a month to announce the result and give the certificate. But by January or latest by February, you will have your certificate and your marks and everything to get your credits. Exam registration fee. Exam registration fee. Last year it was, I don't remember, maybe 750 rupees. I don't remember. We've been requesting NTA to reduce the fee, but they say that they have to ask for the fee because they spend a lot of money to conduct the exam. I don't know if this year it will be different. You'll get to know. As and when NTA will tell us, I'll also be in touch with you on the discussion forum. Don't worry about it. NTA is the one that will decide and we all will get to know. I have no role to play in the exam. And what will be the exam pattern? The exam pattern will be 50 questions, multiple choice questions. The final exam will be 50 questions, MCQ. And it's a proctored examination. You'll be sitting in a place, there'll be a supervisor or a superintendent, and it will be using a computer. You'll be selecting the multiple choice question answers, but it will be a supervised exam in a center appointed by NTA. And registration will begin only somewhere in October. And the exam will be in December. Result will be announced in January or December 2024 or January, February latest 2025. Okay. But please engage. Exam is not a problem at all. Our Indian education system is trying to break free from this thing of only giving exam. Learn because you want to learn. You have the best of people teaching you in this course. Go through the course content. Share on the discussion forum. If you want to really use the Instagram platform to start sharing your work later on, you want to start tagging, you want to start posting, we want to comment on each other's work. The reels from the course that have been put up on Instagram, if you can engage with them, show your response to that reel, give a comment. That is how we learn to develop all these skills that are needed in the field of journalism and photojournalism, which is interacting with the community, reaching out to people, connecting to people, and letting other people know what we think, and responding to other people and sharing our work. These are all very good practices that will nourish you and help you to develop yourself individually and help the entire group collectively. that we all are there as a community to support each other and help each other. Mr. Balamurgan, is it possible for you to? I think it's okay. We will just tomorrow when I put the photo contest, I'll put the discussion forum link once again there. That announcing everybody who joined late that here is the photo contest and here is the link to join the discussion group and the link to the Instagram community. All the three will be in one email. Just engage with it and there'll be a call for action like I have given right now in the chat as well. So there's a call for action, so respond to it. Become an active part, and which some of you are already doing, and it's beautiful. So more of you become active, respond to each other, start sharing, and don't expect immediate and good feedback, because sometimes constructive criticism may be a little tough, but that should not discourage you. If you're wanting everybody to like your work, but if nobody likes your work, there could be two reasons. People are lazy and they don't feel like replying to an email. That doesn't mean your work is not good, but that means that people are not active in the community. So don't take it personally. Secondly, if somebody does not really appreciate your work, take it with a pinch of salt. Take it in a positive manner that this is constructive criticism to help me to work better, and never take it in a discouraging manner or in a negative manner or be offended. Try and understand why this person has given the comment. And the person who's given the comment should also give a reason. So we are doing a discussion forum is to help each other learn in a rational manner by giving our reasons on why we like a picture or why we don't like, how it can improve, what are our suggestions. We should not just give blind, I like it or I don't like it, which will not help anybody to learn. So we should be thoughtful of the community, we should be respectful of the community, and we should give genuine, constructive feedback and criticism to help each other and everybody who's in the group, on the discussion group on our course, to learn. And whoever takes initiative on Instagram, because I'm also learning, I was not born on Instagram. It's not on my generation, we didn't have that, but I'm learning how to use this platform because I see a lot of people sharing their content here. So I thought this is a good way to network and let people know and reach out to more and more people. And it's been a very successful experiment. And let us see how we can take this community forward. So are there any more questions or comments, or otherwise we can wind up in a minute or two? Yeah, Vamsi, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Like right now, a photo contest is like online, ma'am. It is by Sony BBC Earth, ma'am. Like they're conducting every year. Just like I want to share with you, ma'am, so that you can share with everyone.
Please do that. Please do that. You know what you can do is I will also put my email ID here. You have my email ID outside of the CC. So because I check my email very regularly, and then I can post it, because I know there's a lot happening, but I am unable to keep touch with the pace of the amount of contests that are happening, and there are exhibitions, and there are so many different. So as in when we get it, we can put it in I can put it in the discussion forum and share with everybody. So those are interested it's optional. If you're interested, you can go for it.
I already shared in the
and the chat. Very good, excellent. It's already there on the chat. Sony BBC Earth in Focus, and there was another one I saw today, some account called Arts Connect on Instagram, and they also had something on environment. But I'm very sure that it would be very competitive, and they would be looking for absolutely very good photographs. For example, you see National Geographic. Now you just can't publish it Nat Geo like that. Your photographs have to be of a certain quality for it to be selected. Even if you're going for Nat Geo one shot, and there's a chance it may get selected, but you must you must reach that level where they would see that, yes, this is a quality that we would like to publish. So main thing is find out what are the standards right now globally, what kind of photographs are being seen, being recognized, what are the kind of photographs that are coming out, then what are the photographs you relate to, and how can you do better photography, how can you do better photojournalism, and keep doing it. And it's a matter of time, because when you like doing something, or rather you love doing something, and you don't give up doing that, so with time you become better and better and better. And then eventually there's a possibility that somebody may feel and sense something in your work which they can connect to, and when they connect to it, that moment will happen. Until then, we have to keep trying. Okay, so I think we had a very good interaction, and what to say? Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in and making the space come alive with your questions, with your observations. And I can see that many of you have that fire inside you, that desire inside you to really express through the medium of the visual medium, the medium of photography and photojournalism. And yeah, once you start, there's no looking back, there's no ending. And never worry about what people think, never worry about how long it will take you to reach somewhere. Just keep on the journey, don't give up. That's what I want to say. I'm there with you. I'll always be there with you. I may sometimes be a little delayed in responding on the discussion forum because I have a lot of things to deal with on a daily basis. But I'm always there, and I watch the space, and we will always make sure that we give you our sincere, genuine, and authentic inputs. So each one of you, like previous learners in the last few years, have a feeling of being very fulfilled and satisfied, that even though it's an online course, we will have a personal connection with each one of you. It's up to you how much you honor that connection and you stay in touch with everybody in the discussion forum and on Instagram, and I would always be there. Thank you so much, and thank you for all these lovely hearts and flowers. They were absolutely beautiful. So bless you. Have a lovely week ahead, and be creative, be happy, be confident, breathe easy. Don't let any stress get to you, because the mind-body connection is also very important. We can be creative only when we are happy and we are calm and we are peaceful. If we are stressed and we are worried and we are, anxious, that will also hamper our creativity. So take a deep breath, be calm, be strong, face life as it comes, and keep going. So lots of love, and
Thank you so much, ma'am.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We meet another 2 weeks again from now, and take care. Somebody wants to enter now. We are about to leave. What should I do? Brinda Naveen, are you entering now? Brinda? Brinda, are you entering now? Okay, Brinda, you just enrolled today. Not a problem, Brinda. Be welcome to the course. But we started exactly at 4 o'clock, and we've been together for the last 1 hour, 51 minutes. So everybody is leaving now, but the recording of this session will be uploaded on the dashboard tomorrow, Brinda. I want you to join the discussion forum as well. Have you joined the discussion forum, Brinda? No. Brinda, did you join the discussion forum? Have you joined it?
No, ma'am, I didn't join. I just enrolled it yesterday only.
Yeah, so don't worry. You will see tomorrow. By tomorrow, I will send an email, because now everybody has registered. We will get no new learners. So tomorrow, I was just telling other people who had joined, I will repeat again for your benefit. Others, you're welcome to leave if you want to leave, or you can stay on. But I'll just give some time to Brinda since she just entered. So Brinda, what I wanted to say was that we have a community on our course. It is a Google group. It's on Swayam, our discussion forum. So I will send an email tomorrow with the link. You have to click on it and you'll be a part of the discussion forum. And you can see yesterday and day before yesterday, I've replied to some people and you open those emails. So there was one email that two people who joined yesterday. So those two people who joined, one was Hemendra Pratap Singh and there was one Chris. So I replied to them today at 11 o'clock and 10:22. And I told them, don't worry. This is the way we are going to be engaging in the course. And I've given a detailed reply. Please see the reply. If you still have any doubts, you can ask me. Secondly, we have a photo contest for the learners, which again, we have announced on 19th of August. But again, tomorrow in the mail, I'll give all the information about the photo contest. You can also join that photo contest. Thirdly, I have started an Instagram account in which I've been sharing content related to our course. And I was telling our dear friends here who are very active in the course that they can also become active. This is a general Instagram community, which is the official page of the department where I teach in Pondicherry University, the media department. There, including photojournalism, I put up a lot of other content as well. But majority of the content is on photojournalism, and we have a lot of photographers following us from all over the world. So there I am putting in every week a little small glimpse of highlights of that week's content. The key moments of that week, we are showing it to the entire world that what are we offering in that course. So we select some key points every week and we just like a trailer or like a teaser, we are showing those reels to everybody. So you can also look at those reels and you can give a comment, you can engage with it. And then slowly we will see that how some of the learners here want to share their photographs. And so we will see how we can use the Instagram community also for doing that. But on the discussion forum, you can also share your work. You will see other people have also shared their work and anybody can give feedback. I am giving feedback. Other people can also give feedback. So it's up to each person in the course how much you want to give. It's not compulsory, but the more you engage, the more you understand, the more you apply the knowledge, the more you participate, the more in Hindi हम कहते हैं उसे कि दिमाग और आँखों की और दिल की सब बत्तियां खुल जाएंगी. मतलब in English to translate roughly that your eyes will open up, your heart will open up, your intellect will open up, and when all your capacities open up, then you will be a better human being, a better photographer, and a better photojournalist. And this is what this course is aiming towards, to help you be a stronger, better, creative, communicative, confident person, photographer, and photojournalist. If we can achieve this and help you to reach these goals, then for the fourth time that I offer this course, I would again be very blessed and fortunate that I could be of service to people across the world. So that's it. And I hope I have been able to give you a brief orientation, Brinda. Is that okay for now? Okay, thank you. So the recording, Brinda, there will be 3 recordings because you have missed 3 live recordings. Today, then the first live recording, and we had a World Photography special with the photo editor of the Press Trust of India, Gurinder Osan. That recording of the second interaction is also available. And all of these, as and when you get time, you can just listen to them or watch them. You will get a lot of very interesting and relevant insights. All right? Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so very much. And thank you, Mr. Balamurugan. Mr. Balamurugan has joined in from the EMRC office. He is the production assistant and he has assisted in the development of the MOOC. And right now also, every time we have a live interaction, he's there assisting me. And I want to acknowledge him and thank him, along with Mr. Desikan Krishnan, who is a great pillar of support for our course and who has really helped us build this beautiful course for all of you. So this is, life is about teamwork, life is about sharing, life is about, helping each other. And sometimes I need help, sometimes you need help. We shouldn't be afraid of asking for help, and we should be happy to give help. And this way, this world can become a much better place to live in. So thank you all. Stay blessed, and we meet again 2 weeks from now. Meanwhile, the discussion forum and the Instagram is a community where you can engage with, and I follow these two places regularly on a daily basis. Bye for now. We are ending the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Really welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.